Good morning and welcome. So today I'm going to be painting, and before I start, I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to share to a group because this is kind of new. So we're going to try that out. Like my little smock here. It's pretty nice, huh? I'm going to share to a group real quick and see what happens. Haven't done this before, so I got to scroll through some, try that, try that, try that, try that. Painting, I don't know, starting a painting, I guess, maybe, Hollywood art promotion. We're just going to try that and see what happens. Oh my goodness, I have a lot of groups that I'm in. Well, today I am going to be doing my second to last layer on my paintings. And I got my tape good, it's right there. It's right there, but before I start, I gotta have my morning sip of coffee, right? I gotta have my morning sip of coffee before I start. Hey, how you doing today? And then I'm gonna begin with the festivities. That's the word that I was trying to go for. So I got, the reason why I always look kind of like, I don't wear nice clothes when I paint. I'm sorry, I just don't. So I always look like I look like the dude from The Big Lebowski, right? I think I look like the dude from Big Lebowski, besides without the, what is that? Is that what's he wearing? A bathrobe. I'm not wearing a bathrobe. So, no bathrobe. But today, I am basically going to be starting out with this second to last layer of painting. And I've attached these two panels together. I got some pre-drawn lines here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically make like a quasi diptych today. And then afterwards, they're going to be separated. Right? I'm not treating them as triptychs or diptychs. A triptych is a 3-panel piece that's connected. A diptych's the same thing. It's a 2-panel piece that's connected. These are quasi-connected. Like compositionally, they're together, but like when I start working separating them, the forms and the composition changes. So they're kind of related, but they're not. They're like cousins, painting cousins, I guess. So I'm just gonna quickly blot out some forms here. And I'm making these angular shapes to go against, I don't want to cut out all of this. So I think what I'm going to do is go to this weird angle here. I dragged the pencil line way too far. And if I were to do the angle that I want to, I'm going to cut this area out, and I don't want to. So I'm going to do a really narrow form here. So it's going to be like this weird tapering effect. So now I'm going to do this. I'm just thinking about what areas I want to kind of go through. I want to show what I don't want to go through. Just trying to think about like the amount of paint that's going to be applied, how big these shapes are going to be, how they're going to affect the shapes below it. So I'm trying to be mindful of that, especially when at the fifth layer here. I don't want to cover up everything because I have a tendency to kind of cover up things. And I don't want to do that for these last few layers here. So I got to be mindful of that. And I'm noticing when I'm doing these, there's a little bit more, they're like more triangular shape. You know, and I'm kind of digging the triangular shape here. So I'm just embracing it, and we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna do another stripe right here that's kind of, I want it to go against this. So I'm gonna do a little stripe here that goes against this a little bit. And then I want just a little bit of the underpainting showing right here. So I'm gonna make a narrow stripe, drag it down, do a quick little mark here, mark, funky bunch. Boom. Now, I think this has enough like stuff Almost. I activated that corner. Yay. I think this has enough stuff going on as is. I think that when I put all this pink paint on, there's gonna be an open area right here, which would be kind of like an area of pause for your painting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on this area a little bit. I wanna leave this little form here, but this area feels a little empty. So I think what I'm gonna do, instead of having, the difference between this painting and this one is, on this one, I'm gonna have a floating shape. All the other, on this one specifically, the shapes are actually coming off the picture plane. For the most part, it's happening here, but I'm gonna have one that's floating. I haven't done that yet. So I'm gonna have like this floating form here. Just kind of arbitrarily place it somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, these shapes are just kind of happenstance. I didn't notice this, but there's this area right here that I had put some marks on from the other day, and I'm going to leave that there. It's kind of hard to see the graphite pencil marks when the gray paint kind of masks it. So what I'm going to do now is, I've been thinking about this is, because I need to do 2 layers of paint on this specifically. I need to do 2 layers of paint on this painting. And I don't know. I drew a blank. I just need to do 2 layers of paint. And my initial thought is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape an area off, paint it, tape another area off, paint it, and keep taping areas off and painting it. And then by the time I get all the way around, the first area I touched, to me, I think will be dry enough. I did the same method on my first test run, but I only did on 1 panel, so it got a little thin here. But on my second one, which is this is the second batch, the second test run, I think I'm gonna have to do at least 2 panels simultaneously to kind of keep it so that the paint dries quick enough. Doing 1 panel and then doing a second layer of paint in one sitting is a little much. Like it really pushes the limit of the acrylic paint. Like you can do it, but you gotta manipulate it a little bit. So I'm gonna paint off an edge here, leave that to kind of dry while I move around. And that's what initially my process for it. And if it doesn't work out, what I'll probably do in the future is I'll do 3 panels at once. That's what I'll do. I'll do 3 panels at once, and we'll be good. And the reason why I want to do 3 panels at once is because this paint really applies on transparently. And it's not, I don't like it. I don't like how transparent it is. It's super liquidy. It's like a milkshake. You know, if I was drinking a milkshake, I'd actually be scared to have this paint nearby me. Like, because if I had like a strawberry milkshake, right? If I had a strawberry milkshake, I'd probably think this was strawberry milkshake, and I'd drink it. Hey, it's a Tide Pod. Let's drink it. It's the same thing, right? So I'm just going to quickly. I probably should have. I'm always contradicting myself. So you're always going to hear me say, I probably should have done this when I'm painting, mainly because I'm always thinking about, I'm always considering what might occur after the fact, because I've made a lot of mistakes painting, and I still continue making them. So I guess being mindful of those mistakes helps me with my work. And this type of work is a brief, actually it's a nice break from what I've been doing, which has always been like burgers and bodybuilders and stuff. And with this type of stuff, like, there is no standard, you know. With the burgers and bodybuilders, you know, you want the burger or the bodybuilder to look kind of like that thing that you're painting, you know, at least similar. And oil paints, oh gosh. Oil paints are nice, I love them, but it is like a love-hate relationship because, gosh, man, sometimes you got to fight them, like literally fight the paint. You know, boop, boop, boop. No, it's when you're messing with oil paint, it can be a struggle, man. It's difficult. Like you're fighting. Sometimes when you buy, if you're on a budget, because paint's expensive. Like the nice paint that I buy like a couple brands of nice paint, and the rest are like cheap student grade. Because otherwise, I would just like I'd go bankrupt. I wouldn't be able to afford the paint that I want. So I buy like a really nice white, and I buy a really nice cerulean blue and alizarin crimson. The rest I kind of like. I don't really care if they're like bad or good, because otherwise I just eat through those paints really quickly. So I buy the really nice, those like 3 brands or 3 colors. I buy them at a really nice brand and a really nice color with a really nice pigmentation because they last longer. But I don't buy any more than that because otherwise I bury, like as I said, I go bankrupt. Because I generally paint pretty thick. And sometimes when I'm painting really thick, I actually use a cheaper white. I use a titanium white. Normally I'll use so I have like a titanium white for like my cheap stuff, like my cheap, not cheap stuff, but like actions that I got to do. Like, I guess, let's see here. Not cheap actions, but areas that aren't as important or don't need as much TLC as other areas. And so that's like areas that are using really thick brush strokes. So if you're using really thick brush strokes, you don't want to use your really expensive white. You'll go through a whole tube, and a whole tube can cost like $50. You don't want to do that every time. So you buy the filler paint, right? You buy the titanium white filler paint. You use that for your like general use, and then you use your other paints. Well, there's a little area there I missed. And then you use your other paints, your really good paints for the areas that are of importance. But I'm digging the acrylics right now. I think the reason why I'm digging them is because to do like a mass area like this take forever. You go through so much paint too. Now, it would look better in oil. It would definitely look better in oil because oil would have this sheen on it that that you can manipulate a little bit differently than acrylic. Acrylic, the sheen, like you have to buy like certain varnishes or certain the way that the paint looks, you know. And acrylic, there's satin, there's eggshell, there's matte, there's not me, but a matte finish, a non-reflective finish. There's semi-gloss, high gloss, gloss. You gotta buy those finishes. But with oil paint, you don't have to do that. All you gotta do is add more medium in it, and it adds that finish that you want. But if you want that glossy finish with oil paint, what happens is you gotta dilute that paint. So you gotta dilute that paint, and if you dilute that paint, it becomes transparent, which means in order to get a shiny, if you want your area to be shiny, like if you want your area to be opaque like this but shiny, you gotta do multiple layers of oil paint. So that's why one of the downfalls of like oil paint is you gotta do all this extra work to get the same effect as an acrylic. But the thing about acrylic though is it's basically plastic, right? Acrylic paint. It's in the name. So you can't be so upset that when your paint dries, your acrylic paint dries, that it looks kind of dry, like it looks plastic. Because that's what you're doing. You're basically using plastic paint. Well, it's not plastic paint, but that's what it's in the word. I don't got anything else to say. I'm done. I'm done talking about my paints. So I'm trying to decide when is the best time to put the second layer of paint on, and I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm gonna try doing the whole thing. Right? I'm gonna try doing the whole thing all at once. But I'm gonna tape one, paint one, tape one, paint one, and just go all the way around, and then see where I'm at. So this strategy is changing. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because the paint that I'm using is being applied at semi-transparent, like it's translucent, right? Like you can kind of see the underlayer, and I don't want that. I want like flat finishes throughout. So I'm trying to figure out a way how I can do 2 layers of paint in one sitting. So it's all about timing at this point, and I'm just trying to figure out the right timing that I need to kind of work with here. And then after this, I am going to do digital portraits. I'm not going to record myself doing digital portraits, but I'm gonna do them, right? Got a lot of those to do. That's going to be fun. In hindsight, though, like in retrospect, I like doing them. It's just like they take a lot longer than I expect because I am not well versed in digital drawing. Like I've been going online and looking at tutorials, and everyone's like, "It's easy. Just use this filter." I'm like, "Where's this filter?" It's like, I don't have the same program. What's the same? Like, what's the filter called in this program? Because they all have like overlapping. Overlapping features, but they're all titled differently, you know. Or they all work relatively the same, but they're all in different areas of the program, you know. Some they're in the same areas, kind of, but they're not, you know. Or the brushes are titled differently, or the brushes that are titled the same react differently than the ones that you're seeing in the tutorial. And I'm like, I can't afford Photoshop, bro. I can't. It just costs too much. Give me a break. Look, it's easy, dude. I got this hack on how to draw eyes. Like, what's funny about these digital artists, these digital art, like, they're hacks. They're like little tricks to give the illusion of realism. But like most of the stuff, you can't really apply this to reality because all the stuff that you want to do, like if you want to do this digital, like this, if you want to make a digital work, but in real life, you're talking about 100 hours of work at least, because to make something look real requires lots and lots of labor. But they have hacks now, like, oh man, here's what you do. It's all about the Gaussian blur. Like, what's Gaussian blur? Why is it called Gaussian? And why doesn't Sketchbook Pro have this Gaussian blur that you speak of? Why can't I use Gaussian blur? Why am I talking to myself? Yeah, why am I talking to myself? That is a good question. I guess the reason why is because when you do this live, it's less entertaining when you're just like quiet and brushing. And I can't use music, so there we go. Because of copyright laws. Because of copyright laws. So this is my hack. Here's my hack for doing painting in real life. Use tape. If you want to have a hack, here's what you want to do: paint a straight line. Use some tape. You get a pretty good straight line. Of course, sometimes there's mistakes that occurs, but they're happy mistakes, so that's good. So they're happy mistakes. So use tape if you want to make straight lines. There you go. Unfortunately, I guess there is like tape on Photoshop. It's called it's called something. I don't remember. I don't know what it's called. But I tell you, I'm learning a lot with this digital work, and it's just a different beast. You know? Like the blending, like everyone says, like, oh, it's all about blending. Like, well, the blending doesn't work the same way that it works in real life, right? Like it's all programmed differently, and so like I'm playing around. Like it blends too much, it blends too little, and it's like when I blend, it's all foggy. I'm like, well, I don't want it foggy the way that it's coming out here. It's like, well, it's easy to not do that. What you do is you just don't do that anymore. I'm like, well, you're not helping me with this blending predicament that I'm in. Thank you. But I'm learning, and I'm hoping to get to the point where I do these portraits. I can do like a good portrait in like under 5 hours. And then after that, I want to half it. I want to do like in 2 hours. You know, I've gotten the front half of it. I can do the front half of the drawing in like an hour or less. But the later part takes a little longer because then I still don't know what to do. So like I've gotten experience with drawing. I know like, okay, I'm at the point where I can start using my charcoal pencil to add some details. With digital artwork, I'm like, do I move on to details, or am I going to kind of be in this area for a while? Am I going to be kind of just refining? I don't know how long I should be refining the details or refining the simple forms. So I'm kind of in like limbo sometimes, and I feel like I'm just moving the stylus, the drawing stylus over the tablet, and then getting more of the same art. It's moving forward, but it's not moving as fast as the professionals that I'm seeing. Like they're like it's going a little bit. It's like ticking up a little bit, but the professionals will like they'll make a stroke, and all of a sudden they're like 80% done. And I'm like, okay, I'm 71% done, 71.25, 71.5, 71.75. You know. So I'm just trying to figure out when that area of limbo, when I need to transition to the next part of the painting, the digital painting. Like I have some idea when, but you know, and I'm still learning how to use the brushes. Because even though I'm watching these tutorials online and they're making a lot of sense, but Photoshop brushes react a little bit different than the sketchbook brushes react, it just like from what I'm noticing, the sketchbook brushes feel grittier. They feel more textury, and I don't know how to do that. So one of the things I'll have to do is I have to do some research in my spare time and look at how I can make my own brushes on Sketchbook Pro and play around with it and see if I can make something that makes something that is really kind of gritty and textury, and stops with a more jagged edge that's more like a painting. I think if I can make it feel more like how it is in real life, then I'll probably be a little bit more successful. That's why I wanted to get Procreate, because I was watching how people were using Procreate, and it looked like they've simulated the texture of pencil marks pretty good and paint marks really good. But I was looking at how to download that, and it turns out that's only available for Apple and iPad. And I'm like, what? You're lampooning me, Procreate. You just lost a customer. And I was digging with Procreate when I was watching these people draw with it. It looks like their pencil stabilization algorithm works really well, where it mitigates any micro movement that you have, or at least when I'm watching other artists use it. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. But I wish it was available for like just PC. And I did a little bit of research. Apparently you can use like there's like emulators that allow you to use Procreate that emulates like an Android tablet or Android OS. But I don't really want to do that. That just seems like a lot of work to get something that may or may not pan out. You know? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So, I've just stuck with Sketchbook Pro on my tablet. That's like, you know, I guess that's an okay problem to have, you know? It's not like it's a bad thing. Oh, I got a tablet and I can still draw digitally. And I'm using a free drawing program. So I don't have to buy any, like, I don't have to pay for it. Procreate's cost $20. The other program I'm using was free. And it's comparable. So, I think that's about it for chatting about digital artwork. I gotta figure it out. I really do gotta figure it out, because the only reason why these drawings are taking me so long is because I'm like, am I doing this right? I'm very confused. I don't know where to go next. You know? So basically, it's just my lack of understanding of how to use the program that's like slowing down my progress. Like, I understand it, but, you know, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's just so simple that I'm making it a mountain out of a molehill, right? Or maybe it's actually really that technical, and I just don't know what I'm doing. And I like to think that it's just really, really technical, and I don't know what I'm doing. That way, it sounds like I have a really good excuse. It's like, why can't you draw digitally? Like, I just don't know what I'm doing. I can draw. I've proven that. I've proven that I can draw. It's there. I've done it. I've seen me draw. Now, drawing on tablet's a little different. For one, I don't got the cool fancy tablet where you can look at the screen and you can see where you're drawing. I have the tablet where it's on the table, and then I have to watch what I'm drawing on the screen. So I'm doing a motion, but I'm not seeing what I'm drawing except for on the screen. So I'm like, it's kind of it's an awkward thing to do. So I don't know. The way it's going is I don't know if I'm gonna get 2 panels done. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna push through and get 2 panels in, no matter how many times I doubt myself or am a little skeptical about it. So this is new. This new strategy where I have it all taped out. And I'm going to put 2 layers on. I really am thinking that by the time I go to the second panel here and I come back to this one, paint the second layer, pull off the tape on each one individually after each area is painted, that by the time I get to this one, it'll be dry. So that's my, I'm guessing that that's what's going to occur. That may not happen. I don't know. There we go. I got a little bit of. That's why I had this smock here, because I don't want to get any paint on my pants. I don't have my paint pants on. I don't have my painting pants on. My work pants, essentially. So I don't want to get any paint on my pants. These are nice pants. I don't want to get paint on my pants. I was just thinking about a quote from Ron Burgundy, Anchorman, where Steve Carell was like, "Hey, you want to go to the pants party? The pants party. You want to go to it? Are you saying there's a party in your pants and I'm invited?" It's like, yeah. Nope. I was just thinking about that quote. That was a funny little scene. So this is how you do straight lines, or straightish. I recommend the green frog tape. It's pretty good. Some people frown against using tape for straight lines. I don't really care. Then you should frown against people that use projectors to project their image on a wall so they can trace it, so they can have their line work drawn out. Frown against that, bro. What are you gonna do? I think I'm yelling. I might be yelling. I don't know. I need a mic. I need a mic to know how loud I'm speaking. And I think the reason why I'm speaking so loud is because I'm talking away from you. And that's the only way that I know for sure that people can hear the voice out of my mouth. Or I can't control the volume of my voice. I got voice modulation disorder. I'm having a little bit of trouble controlling the volume of my voice. Oops, I'm dropping paint everywhere again. Those are good, happy mistakes. I'll allow it. I will allow that paint to drip there. I don't mind it doing that what it just did. So we're gonna let that slide just this once. I'm gonna let it slide. Whoa! I'm not gonna let that slide though. Get off there. Ah, whatever. The paint decided to make a streak. I don't like it. The paint's gonna do what it's gonna want to do. And you just gotta embrace the paint, bro. You just gotta embrace it. You gotta let the paint do what it wants to do. You know, just let the will of the paint be. Don't fight the paint. Oh man. You know those beer like helmets? Do you know those beer helmets, right? I want a beer helmet with the 2 cans of beer. Like that was so popular like in the 90s when I was a kid. I was like, I want one of those and have like Coke cans in there, Coca-Cola, Pepsi or Mountain Dew, right? I want one of those, but with like 2 pitchers of coffee on the sides. Now that would be sweet. But the way it's going, like the way I'm tilting my head right now, I can see myself spilling coffee everywhere. So there's that. That'd be kind of cool. What do you think? So I work out in the morning. You know, I exercise in the morning, but it is like it's like the most chill workout. It's basically body weight exercises with like a kettlebell. It's very simple stuff comparatively. I think the only challenging thing I do as far as weightlifting now is once a week I deadlift. I deadlift up to 400 pounds, and I do that as my like heavy load for the week. And then the rest are pretty chill. The rest is pretty chill as far as exercise. I don't know. So I've been trying to be more mindful of that and be more active with my fitness regime. You know, be more mindful of that and hope that it pans out. I don't like this angle. I'm going to move this a little bit to the left. I want this more center when I'm working on it. Oh! All right, so we're gonna keep going here, and then I'll be ready for the second layer. So that's pretty cool. Pretty stoked about that. Got a lot to do today. I gotta see what I gotta do. I gotta go to the post office. I gotta write a script for an art lesson, because I noticed that if I don't do that, it is bananas. Got some emails or some messages I gotta reply to. Some drawing I gotta do. And obviously I can check off my list for the day is painting. So I can check that off. Done. Painting's done for the day. Got that in. We're good. We are good. Whoa! I don't want brushes falling on my pants or my legs. So, but one thing about, like, I'm more clumsy when I do live videos or any type of like lecture or demo than I am when I'm not doing any of that. I guess because I become like Steve Urkel I turn into Steve Urkel when I start doing live videos. I'm oblivious to everything. I'm constantly embarrassing myself. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, oh, whoa, Butterfingers. Like, that's what happens when I do these darn live videos. It's so weird. Because normally I'm pretty well coordinated. I mean, I like to think that I am, because I have to be well coordinated to draw, for one. If you didn't have hand-eye coordination, it'd be very difficult to draw. So I'd like to think that I'm pretty coordinated, but let me tell you, when I'm doing these videos, I am not. I have some extra tape somewhere, and I put it somewhere. I don't know where I put it. Hello, everyone. Hey, thank you. There's my tape. I got my tape here. I have a medley of tape, like various types of tape. I want to use this tape because it's a little thinner, and I want to get this area right here. Yeah, so I'm going to use this tape on this area, simply because I don't want to trim this down. Why'd I do that? That's not long enough. Whatever. We're going to use that tape later. We'll use that tape later. We're not going to use it today. Not on my watch. That's what I say. There we go. It's been a morning already. It's been a morning. You ever wake up in the morning, you're like, man, and you do so much stuff before like 7 o'clock, you're like, can I just go back to bed now? Right? Is it like 7 o'clock now? I don't know. It's got to be 7, or it's past like 8. It's got to be 8. So like every morning, for the most part, I don't want to brag or anything, but every morning for the most part, by the time it's like 8 o'clock, I've done so much that I'm like, can I clock out? Can I clock out for the day? I'd really like to clock out. I've already done like my workout. I've already done my painting. To some extent, I've done a little bit of drawing. I've done some emails, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn. I'm not a big horn tooter. So, but on average, sometimes, on average, by the time a lot of people are getting up, I've already done like, you know, a full day's worth of work. I'm like, can I just go to bed? Like, that's what I want to do, is like do a full day's of work in like 4 hours and then sleep for 20. That'd be pretty cool, right? Okay. Let's be fair. Let's sleep for only 15, so that you actually have time to spend with some family and friends and stuff. So 15 hours, and paint for 4, or paint do about 4 hours of work. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm at a loss for words. Let's move forward here. I used to have, when I was doing these live videos, I had the light down here because I could see better, but I stopped doing that. I stopped doing that because the light would bounce off and hit the camera, and it would just be like this giant white lens flare. And so that's why I stopped doing that. Even though it was more beneficial for me to have that light show. Maybe I need to mess around with the lighting a little bit better, more on my free time that I don't have. Who here has like just a completely full schedule all the time? You're like, what do you do? How are you managing your time? Because some days I'm just like, actually almost every day I feel like I'm just treading water, just able to stay above water, because I got so much I have to do, and I'm only accomplishing like 20% of it because I'm only functioning at like 60% capacity. Right? And I'm going to put tape here. Get it out of the way. Gosh, I'm dropping tape all the time. Making a mess. I'm up to no good, I tell you. Up to no good. Up to no good. I keep dropping this darn tape. And it's out of the frame. Yeah, so like, I have so many things that's kind of going on, like so many like hats that I'm doing it, like tossing around each day, that I feel like I'm just like, when am I going to get on the beach? Just treading water, wading in the water, like you're not drowning, but you're definitely not comfortable. That's what my life feels like at the moment. It sounds kind of like it sounds terrible when you think about it, I guess. I don't know. I'm getting like this. I'm getting all subconscious and metaphysical or symbolic here. It's like there's more paintings that I want to do than I had time to do, and I'm trying my best to maximize my painting time and maximize all the other things I got to do in a day. And it's just, sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough, Do you get that feeling? Do you ever have that? I do. A lot. And I was hoping I don't have any more paint dripping down here. I don't think I pressed the tape as hard as I wanted to here, because I feel like I'm rushing. Yeah, I am rushing a little bit. But that's fine. It's not like having clean lines is going to make or break these paintings, in my opinion. And it's not like these happy mistakes, these little drips that kind of fall down. I actually like them. And sometimes, maybe I'm thinking subconsciously, I purposely don't take the extra effort to kind of clean off my brush when I dip it in the can, so that I know that it's going to kind of do a little bit of a drip somewhere. So I think I do that on purpose. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just very bad at my job as an artist. I don't know. By the way, if you're interested in buying one of these or purchasing one of these pieces, you can go to my website at www.mattpearsonart.com, and these original pieces are available for you. There's my plug. There you go. You're welcome. And if you can't afford the original, the prints are pretty good, actually. I have a few prints, art prints. They're really good quality. I'm actually quite surprised about how good they are. And the heater is kicking on, right? And if you're turned off by the notion of me promoting myself, well, the paint's not going to buy itself, that's for sure. I could do the bit from Total Recall where the alien's like, I got 4 kids to feed, right? He's like, I thought you said you had 3 kids or 5 or whatever. That scene where that taxi driver is talking about how he has like 8 or 12 kids, and then it keeps each scene he has a different amount of kids, and Arnold's like, I thought you had 5 kids. And he's like, oh, you got me. I'm a spy. I haven't seen that movie in a while. That used to be a favorite of mine when I was younger, watching Total Recall. And then they made a reboot, and I was like, so what? Oops. So what? You made a reboot of Total Recall. You're not gonna trump it, man. You're not gonna beat the original, because Arnold was in it at the time, and he was a big deal back in the day. Back in the day, he was a big old deal. He still is, kind of. He still is, to some extent. I mean, he's definitely not like an action star anymore, but he doesn't need to be, He's busy doing other things. Have you seen that video of Arnold Schwarzenegger where he's like eating oatmeal or salad, and he has like these donkeys or miniature horses or whatever, and he's like, hey, you want some more? You want some of this? You want some? I can't do his impression. I'm really do a really bad impression of Arnold, but like, you want some salad too? And it's like, here, no, the rest is mine. That's so funny. Sometimes, do you think like, what if it could be possible, like, it could be very possible that Arnold could be overplaying his Austrian voice, his Austrian accent now, just for fun. So maybe he like purposely, what if he purposely, he lays the Austrian accent on thick, just for fun, just for funny, just for giggles, right? That'd be kind of funny. But yeah, that was a pretty funny video that I saw of him where he's eating that salad, and he happens to have like just mini horses or donkeys in his kitchen, just kind of hanging out. Like if I had a mini horse or a donkey in a kitchen, that mini horse would take up the entire kitchen. I was like, it's like, oh, come on, man. It's funny, but you're like, oh gosh, that would take up that donkey would take up my entire studio space. That donkey would take up the entire house. It's like, get out of here, donkey. You're taking up the whole room. Get out. You're hogging up the space here. I need room here, and you're asking for salad. All right. Now we're gonna. The good thing about doing this, you get paint on your fingers. So, but I think the paint's dry enough for me to do my second layer, and I'll be able to take the tape off on the second layer. So I'm going to do that. Put the second layer of paint on there, and really get that nice opaque, nice matte finish that I want. And then take the tape off. Whoa, there we go. Got one moving right through. We're just gonna like what's it called? Rip cord them. I don't know. One after the other. What I'd like to have, would it be nice, is like to have like a little bitty shelf where I have my paint right here as opposed to the side. That's got me thinking. I might have to do that. I might put like a little shelf underneath this. I don't know. So I'm putting the second layer on. There we go. That's what I wanted. I want it to be a nice flat finish. I don't want the preceding layer to show through, and that's why I have to do two layers of a paint on this. Look at that. It's kind of like a reveal. Look. Look at the paint as I reveal it to you. So if you're wondering why I do so many different things, in my mind, I'm only doing 3 things, so I'm not really doing a lot of different things. I'm just doing 3 things. I think it has to do with like I want to be able to draw. I want to paint, and I want to do digital art, right? So I don't want to do abstract digital art, you know. I want to learn how to do illustration. I want to learn how to paint realistically digitally, and I don't want to do abstract drawings. So that's why I'm doing drawings of skulls. And I think I do drawings of skulls for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons why is the skulls, man. They're just really good. You can do really good reductive drawings with skulls because you can pull those highlights out and look really nice with very simple highlights. And you can be kind of stylized with them, and you can mess them up, and they still look kind of decent because you have all this interesting line work. So like they're forgiving in that light where I can do these forms and not worry about them being like, oh, why didn't you do it this way? So there was a small area here that I couldn't get to because it had tape on it. So I'm going to paint that right quick. And then that's going to be the last area that I paint on this. But what I want to do is do something I did before. Is I want to do like a drip somewhere. So that's going to be something I'm going to be doing later on. my last thing I'm going to do is going to do a drip. What I might do is have a drip going vertically or horizontally, so that you have drips going this way, you have drips going this way. So I have a little bit of variety in where the drips are, because we're kind of having this predictable drip thing that's kind of occurring. So I'm going to be a little bit less predictable with my drips. And my stomach is grumbling. Who'd have thunk it? I love the weekends. Oops. Not for the same reason some people might love the weekend, because I love the weekend because my time drastically opens up. So I'm able to paint a little longer, draw a little more, do a little bit more things that I want to do. And that's what I do at the time. It's not like, oh, I get to watch my show. It's just more like, oh, I get to do more painting. Yay! Right? And at the end of the day, I feel more satisfied with myself if I've created something, you know? And that also kind of goes hand in hand. Like, I also like to work out, but I don't like the workouts to take up all my time. So that's why I stopped doing all this powerlifting, because the powerlifting was taking so much time. And then after the powerlifting exercises, which is like an hour and a half of just like hard work, I'm exhausted and I just want to sit down, because I just had 400, 500 pounds on my back. I don't want to I don't want to walk. I don't want to stand and paint. So I had to stop that because it was just so physically draining, you know, that it wasn't worth it. Even though I really liked doing it, at this point, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it anytime soon, you know. But I'd like to do it in the future, maybe. If I'm working as an artist full time, keep dreaming, right? That's my goal. If I'm able to do that and swing that, then I will probably start working out and getting swole up from the flow up. That's for sure. So just putting that second layer on here. It's looking nice. And, you know, the thing about this, like this painting style, like anyone can do it. Like, it's super easy to do, right? You just need like 4 or 5 different colored paints, and you just got to basically layer shapes on top of each other. But I guess it takes a certain mindset to kind of achieve it, to achieve these forms. And the mindset to me would be like, you have to separate your expectation of what these paintings should be. You know, you got to separate yourself and just let them kind of develop, right? Because of course you want them to look good, but the reality of it is like, who are you to define what is a good painting, right? Yeah, there's standards and such, but like when you're doing a painting like this, good and bad, right, are very subjective, right? They're very, very, very subjective terms. Look at that. They're kind of, I'm liking it. I think I'm going to do this again. My first one was kind of, I didn't like my first one too much. I think because I put too many drips. But I'm kind of liking the jagged forms. I actually might not even do the drips on this one. So I'm thinking on the cuff with these. And I actually like that I did that little bit of that activating that corner with a different color. I think that's a nice little touch there, and I might do that more often. But I am liking what's good about this, I think, is the layers is really helping, working to my benefit. The first ones I did were only 1 or 2 layers, and they were nice. They were kind of cool. And I got the reason why they were nice and cool is because I actually spent a lot of time on like these really nice, interesting like globular forms. But now I'm getting, what I didn't like about doing those is they took a lot of time to do. And although I'd probably like to do those, introduce those again in some smaller form in these paintings, I don't think they're necessary for them. So something I'm thinking about doing is introducing those again, but we'll see. I don't know how I'm going to introduce them. So what I like about these is they're constantly changing a little bit. You know, for this iteration, what changed is I introduced these angular, like jagged spear-like forms, and I put more. There's more layers on this one than the previous iteration, and I'm going to introduce one more layer. The last one I think I had 5 layers. This batch is going to have 6. I think 6 might be a good number. I don't know. I might do a series of like 7 to 10 layers, but we'll see. You know, that might be a little bit of like overkill in my opinion. Just from my experience, that might be too much things occurring at once. And I think right now, 5 layers might be too much occurring at once. I'll find out when I do my 6th layer. So it's all like, this is all very new to me. So that's why I enjoy doing it. So I'm really excited about the next batch. The next batch is going to be an entirely new color palette. And I've been thinking about this really hard. I don't know, like, I've been thinking about doing like batches of 5 with different color palettes. That way it's more new to me and I can do a little bit more experimentation. I think 10 is a lot to do in the same color palette. So like this is a batch of 10 in the same color palette and I like it. You know, it's nice. They're pretty. But when you're doing 10 with pink and grays, like I just want to do something else. I want to do a different color palette. So I think my next batch will be at 5 or 6. I'll do 5 or 6 batches of 5 or 6 at a different color palette, and then I'll move on and do another batch of 5 or 6 at a different color palette. And that way I'll have more variety, and it'll be more appealing to me. And maybe the color palette might dictate the forms a little bit. Like it might change how I perceive my shapes. You know, it might alter the course. So I'm going to move this to the side a little bit more. Get that out of the way so I can work on this one. Get off there, tape. We don't want you. So I always got to look at my hands to see if I have any like paint on them. Because sometimes I'll get paint on I'll get paint on my hand, and sometimes I'll get really close to turning off my phone, and I'm like, oh no, I'm glad I didn't touch my phone because I would have paint on my phone, and that's a no-no. That is a no-no. So these are really good. These are turning out nice here. I think it was a good choice to do 2 panels. I think 2 panels at once is just the right amount of time to do 2 layers on. I could, in theory, do 3, but I think I'll do batches of 2. That way I'm able to move them left and right a little bit more easily. So I'm just putting that 2nd layer on here, making sure I'm getting enough even coat. There we go. And it's gonna peel off the tape. There we go. I like that little small area, that small edge overlapping this shape. I think I might do that more often. So it leaves, it's not like striping over, it's not covering it up totally, it's just just a little bit of activation on that small area is nice, a visually pleasing like thing that's occurring. So I've run out of steam as far as like what to say. I don't really have anything else to talk about right now. I think I've talked about what I want to do for my day enough that I know what I'm going to be doing, and I've kind of rationalized what my next plan of action is with this series, that I know what I'm going to do when I begin them. So I think it's like a good strategy to kind of talk about what you want to be doing, even if it's here, right, on the internet here, so that you have some sort of mental plan, I guess. There we go. I think last time I did this, my last video, I talked about burgers and my lack of having a burger. Looking good. I know there's this notion that artists are nocturnal. They like sleep. They like paint at night, and I guess that used to be me. Oh no, that was a bad idea. I guess that used to be me, but I had to change how I worked. How I had to work because the real world does not bend to the will of the painter, yeah? I don't know if I like this. I'm going to have to retape this. So like the real world doesn't bend to the will of the painter. So like I have to maintain hours of availability during a standard business day. You know, I can't just be like, I'm working all night, sleeping all day. I can't do that because, unfortunately, no one's going to be like, hey, dude, I want art lessons at night. I don't know. No, I'm not nocturnal anymore, I guess. Or maybe that's just a stereotype that's not true. I do know I'm more restless if I don't get a good days of painting in, or I don't get painting in the day, during the day, or I don't get drawing in for the day. Like I just think about like, oh, I need to draw, I need to draw, I need to paint, I need to paint. And if I don't do that, then I just think about it, and then I just kind of like toss and turn at night. So that might be the reason why people are like artists are nocturnal, like stay up at night. But for me, it's more like if I don't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, my brain and my just kind of keeps rolling and like playing through what I should be doing the next day in order to accomplish my painting strategy, or like what I want to do as far as drawing is concerned for the day. So I basically kind of go in like a theater mode and play through the possible outcomes of drawing and painting. So if I don't get that done in a day, or I don't get my painting or drawing done in a day, I think about it. And I think about it before I go to bed, and that probably keeps me up. But when I do it, when I do get some drawing in, I do get some painting in, I sleep pretty good actually, which is weird. I sleep more soundly, I guess. I guess maybe because I don't have anything on my subconscious. This shape was messed up. I don't like it. It's okay. I think I actually put my finger on there. Well, that's fine. We'll cover it up with like some black paint, I think. Oh no, there we go. Paint's dripping everywhere. I'll allow it. I will allow it. I'm not going to let it put me down. That I don't like. So what I might do is I might do something to cover it up. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Maybe I put it in a situation where it drips paint. So that's what I might do there. Because it's kind of icky there. I don't like it. Even as far as like a mistake goes, I just don't like how it appears. It just doesn't seem like a good mistake to have visually. There we go. Gonna flip this around. So I am going to have a drip here. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to manufacture a drip, and all that involves is me kind of like just applying more paint in this area, and then letting the paint do its thing. And then I'm going to kind of smooth it out. There we go. That's probably too much, but that's fine. I like those. Okay, now we're going to kind of smooth it out a little bit so it feels less intentional, I guess. Or maybe it should feel intentional. I don't know. Now we're going to, whoops. Apply paint here, second layer. Second layer, here we go. Almost done painting for the day, and then I'm going to go upstairs, if I have time, and work on some digital drawings. Yeah! We're going to paint dogs digitally. I'm having trouble with the fur. What I'm learning is, here's the thing about when you have someone commission you to do a portrait of a dog, you really got to give a good photo, because otherwise you're just making up like information, like details. And if you're making up details, this becomes kind of difficult. You know, people always like, they give me like these bad photos, and they're good photos to like look at, but they're bad photos to draw from, because you're taking something that's this big and you want to blow it up to this big. All those details that look fine at this size are going to look like blurry when you blow it up. And you got to make, basically what you do with that is you're making up the details, and it's like, this is hard. It's not looking the way that it should look because I'm making up like hair. I'm making up value that's not there to kind of make it feel like I'm seeing things that aren't really there, like visually. So good photos are important, and I'm learning that quickly, but I've already started this portrait, and my next batch I'm going to request, I'm going to like, hey, listen, these photos aren't good. These photos aren't good. We're going to have to use something different. You know, they're good photos, but I need a close-up. I need to see those details. You know, and that's something I'm going to have to require. It's like, yeah, I think this is it. I think we're almost done. Yay! Huzzah! Get off my finger. There we go. Well, that's it for the day. I am done, I think. I don't know. I think 5 layers might be a little overkill, but we'll see. Actually, 6 layers is going to be, there's going to be one more layer after this, but like 5 layers is getting a lot of stuff. I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to watch. I am done for the day, and if you'd like, follow me on Facebook at Matt Pearson Art. Follow all my social media. All of them are all called Matt Pearson Art. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I think that's it. And my website is mattpearsonart.com, and feel free to drop by there. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter. You get 20% off your first art purchase. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.